We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest with us this morning is Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney, taking your phone calls. If you'd like to ask a question, it's our final segment. We've got several coming in for you this morning, and we still have room though. So let's see. We'll go next, I believe, to Billy.
We'll go next.
Let's see. Did we lose Billy? Billy, you there?
Did we lose Billy?
He's got his TV on.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We'll get Billy to turn the volume down, and then we'll get him. Let's see here. Hang on a second. Are you there, Billy?
Sir, you there?
Yeah, yes. I got you. The volume was up, kind of threw me for a loop. Go ahead. Are you there? Billy. Going once.
Lost Billy.
Going twice. All right. We'll try again with him. We just lost him. He calls back. We'll try to take him. Right. Let's go to Timothy. Timothy, good morning. Hi, Timothy.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good. What can we do for you?
I've been diagnosed with PVD back in 14, and I've had 22 surgeries on my right leg. And so far, the 21 of them have all been pain-free because they was giving me the right pain medicine. Well, it seems like since these opioid laws have been passed, I just went in for another surgery where they cut a vein out of my left leg and put it in my right leg and made it as an artery to my foot.
Yep.
Well, this time in the hospital, the whole time I was in the hospital, I was in severe pain, and they would give me a Loratab 5, and even after they'd give me pain medicine, I would tell them, look, I'm in pain. What's got to happen here for me to get out of pain? And then it was like the whole time I was in the hospital, I went in on a Thursday, and I got out on a Sunday. And this time, I don't know what it is, even right now today, I can barely walk. I just got 78 stitches out of my legs and my groin, and I'm just in pain, and I've called the doctor and asked for more pain meds, but I think because of these new pain med laws, he's not doing nothing about it. And I have to sit on my couch because I can't walk because I'm in pain.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, this wouldn't be a medical malpractice case, but Timothy's raising a public issue, which is the flip side of the opiate controversy issue is that this is the concern that I have about it, is people like Timothy who need opiates aren't going to get them like they should.
Not as easy access.
Not as easy. Or when they're necessary, they're not being prescribed and filled. And I don't have an answer for you, Timothy, but this: I'd go see another doctor, someone who can get me pain-free. There are pain management specialists that handle things. You sound like you had a saphenous graft or a bypass graft. That is a painful procedure because basically they're creating an artificial bypass by taking a vein out of one leg, sticking it in the other, and that's painful. I would see a pain management doctor if I were you, Timothy, because I don't think you're going to get relief going the way you're going right now.
Well, you hit it on the head, and there are some of those pain clinics, some of which were unscrupulous, that have been closed down, especially in some of these rural areas. They're down, and people out there, we got to remember, there are folks who genuinely need and use responsibly opioids.
There are legitimate paid clinics too, Nick.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to do your due diligence. But that's, if I'm him, that's what I would do if I can't get pain relief, because no one should have to live in pain simply because it's politically expedient to try to shut down these opiate delivery system.
I know they're being more careful and watching how much. If they just filled something and you shouldn't be through it and you need more, they're going to hold you and say, wait, you got to wait. But he's right, and I feel for him. He should.
Too.
There's ways you can deal with pain, and he should be able to. Yep. I'm sorry, is Billy back on one now? Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, I didn't know if there was another call. Let me know if we have another one to go on that. Just wanted to hit you up on a few other things, just in terms of what's going out there. Is the legislature right now in Tennessee, which is in session, working on anything that's going to affect tort law, to your knowledge?
I haven't heard yet.
I haven't. I watch for it because of what we talk about. I haven't seen anything that might further restrict your ability to sue, or to broaden the ability.
I have. Well, first of all, it ain't go broaden.
That's not going to happen.
That's not the political environment we live in right now. But I haven't heard of any laws that right now would restrict or hamper a patient's ability to get justice in a medical malpractice suit. I'll be able to tell you more next month because it all kind of hits hard around the end of March, beginning of April. I think the session ends middle of April, doesn't it?
I think so, depending, unless they get an extension, end of April.
But anyway, I'll be able to tell you more about that at our next Morning Line.
Have you ever been up there with lawyers to lobby or to talk to lawmakers? Have you done that?
They call it Legislative Day, where we go there and we talk to the legislators and try to explain our side, the patient side of the issue, just like the hospitals have their lobbyists there and the doctors have their lobbyists there to explain it from their side. The difference is they have more of their people than we do.
Yeah, it could be an army
in the
folks.
legislature.
All right, let's go next to, I think we have time for James, who just called in. Hi, James, go ahead.
Hey, I was wanting to ask the counselor, are they still deciding malpractice cases over the Ellithorpe case law?
Ellithorpe?
I'm not sure what that is, James.
Can you elaborate? What was that?
It's the one where they determine that if you fall off of a stool or have any kind of an accident in a medical setting, that it has to be under medical malpractice.
Great point, James. In answer to his question, I always get an expert now because the Supreme Court and the legislature together have basically said any type of negligence that involves a health care provider, even if it's an orderly, can be construed as a malpractice case requiring an expert.
Give me an example of a case that might be someone falling off a bed?
Sure. Well, sitting somebody down on an MRI table, or excuse me, on a table to have an MRI scan done before they lean them down, and while they are preparing some instruments, the person falls off the table and breaks their hip. Is that medical malpractice? 10 years ago, the answer would be no. That was your garden variety negligence case. The simple issue was, should you have left somebody on a table? Now, in my professional judgment, I have to go get an MRI tech to testify as an expert that you shouldn't leave somebody sitting on a table so that they could fall down, particularly like an elderly person. There are numerous examples, what we used to call premises liability, where someone would slip and fall, or you drop someone, you hold somebody, put them on a scale to weigh them, and you would drop somebody because you didn't have them. They're like devices that you can tether yourself to someone so they don't fall, so they can be weighed in like dialysis clinics, because some of these people are old and frail and can't stand or need walkers. The law says, in my judgment, you need an expert, because if you don't get an expert, or if you get a lawyer who doesn't know what he's doing and he files the lawsuit without an expert, it can be dismissed with prejudice, and you never get your day in court. I'll tell you what, next show we get, I'm glad James raised this. This is something I do want to spend a little bit more time talking to you about at the next Morning Line, because it's an important issue as to not only is it important about how you proceed with cases, but why it's important to get a lawyer who specializes or is board certified in medical malpractice as opposed to lawyers who don't.
But you were saying in the past, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been medical malpractice, but it would have been negligence. Would that still have been actionable?
Correct. You'd still have negligence, but anybody could file a negligence case. You just go ahead and sue and say it's unreasonable to put an elderly person on an MRI table because they might fall.
Okay. That would be anywhere. That could be any place, not just a hospital.
But because the law changed, because the legislature changed the law in 2011, 2012, now we need experts to do that. I'm the one that has access to MRI techs and people like that. Most lawyers who do personal injury work don't.
It doesn't mean that you're going to get less money in a medical malpractice or negligence case. It's just, it's a different way of proving it.
It's more difficult. It makes it more difficult to pursue the case.
Yeah, have you ever handled one of those types of cases?
Oh, yeah.
So I can see what you say. If it's someone very frail and you step aside and it's clear, but if I'm going there and I'm a pretty able-bodied fella and I'm there and all of a sudden I just jump up because I decide I don't want to be here and I trip and fall, I don't see why I should get anything.
You're not going to be a fall risk, Nick, unless you're on some kind of medication that makes you.
Well, I'm just saying, if I jump off and I do trip and fall, that's on me. I'm sorry. I'm not suing the hospital. The lion's share of these
cases are people who are elderly or people who have major disabilities.
They should know that they are someone they need to keep an eye on when they're laying them back down on a table.
Absolutely, and part of the hospital's job is to assess a fall risk and protect someone accordingly.
Do you think, as we wrap things up, just that hospital safety, and we talked about it with this lawsuit at the beginning and how it shakes down, that hospitals are aware of this and taking more steps to try to, quality control to make sure? I mean,
I do, and I think they've gotten better at it. This is one area where I do believe hospitals have gotten better, is in fall prevention, fall risk assessment and fall prevention, because there are specific guidelines to follow and there are ways to protect patients. But what James is raising is a very specific point, which is you got to have an expert to go forward with that case to say that the fall risk assessment was negligent or the protection of the patient was below the standard of care.
Yeah.
And that's what makes these cases more expensive, but also makes it more important for you to get a board-certified medical malpractice lawyer who knows how to find these experts.
So you have a network of experts that you can use. As far as hospitals addressing infections, cleanliness, proper meds, things like that, are they on the same level?
I don't have enough time left on this show to talk about that, Nick. I really don't. Tell you the truth.
I mean, because they're dirty places. I mean, when I say dirty, there's germs everywhere because you have sick people in there. As you always said, you want to avoid going to the hospital at all costs. And most people would say, yeah. And if you do have to go, you do not want to be cut open.
Absolutely.
Because it exposes you. They could do everything right, but then there's MRSA, all this other kind of stuff, right?
It's where sick people are.
Well, how do you get around that? It's just, and how, you know,
there
you
is
can't.
no getting around it. I mean, you're going to be around sick people. Sick people have bugs. There are bugs teeming in these places, so you're at risk of getting infected. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
Where the main issue comes to the forefront is which hospital does a better job at diagnosing the infection and treating it versus the hospital that lets you get infected and then doesn't treat it and then
sends you home.
Lets a campfire turn into a forest fire.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hey, do we have Clint's number we could put up right now? We'll put it up again at the last show, but we had several people this morning that were, just remind folks again where you're at, and the calls can be made to your office. It won't be you're going to get. That's an easy number to remember.
It is. It's 615-800,000, and I practice all over the state of Tennessee. My office is in Hendersonville, but because of the nature of the work we do and the type of cases these are, we handle cases all over Tennessee and some in Kentucky.
In Kentucky and federal court.
And definitely in federal court.
Federal court. Do you do any class action cases? I know I've asked you that before, but for
I
our
do,
viewers.
but I don't do as many as I've done the previous years because a lot of these cases have gone ahead and settled and been resolved. And so we haven't had as many as we used to. And I think probably we're focusing more, even more these days, on our malpractice cases than we do in our class action cases.
Oh, really? Why is that? I'm just curious. Is it just...
They're just, you know, that comes in waves.
Okay.
There are times when there's more products out there that are defective that you're in litigation, and then there are other times where there may not be as many products or the cases have settled or in some cases been dismissed. And then you go through a period or lull where there's not as much action there and you take on more malpractice cases. It comes and goes. But I'm finding we're spending more time doing malpractice work as opposed to class action work.
Yeah. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need malpractice attorneys if there were never any mistakes at hospitals.
Well, you know what they say.
That's never going to happen.
You know what they say, that the cure for medical malpractice is not more laws to punish the patient. The cure to malpractice is quit committing malpractice.
Bingo. Clint, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Listen, we'll see you again in a month, all right?
Yes, sir.
Take care, my friend. We'll take a break. I'll have that number back up again for Clint right after the show and a programming note about tomorrow right after this.